Baseball League is also being named the USPBL, powered by Mortgage Matchup. The USPBL began in 2016 and has welcomed more than 2 million fans the last decade. The season officially kicks off on May 15th and runs through mid-September. A rare copy of the comic book that introduced the world to Superman sold for a record $15 million. The comic book publication, it marked the beginning of the superhero genre. In the year 2000, it was stolen from its owner at the time, actor Nicolas Cage, who'd bought it in 1996 for $150,000. It was recovered 11 years later and was eventually returned to Cage. Then 6 months later, Cage sold the comic book at auction for $2.2 million. And finally, the classic mullet was the main attraction at the Pennsylvania Farm Show. 150 contestants took to the stage yesterday to show off their look. They were judged on the style of hair, plus their costumes and accessories in 4 different age categories, including kids under 5. The best overall mullet claimed the Best in Grow prize. This is hilarious. I love this, Rich.
Yeah.
We need one of these here.
Yeah, Jay Towers. I'm going to submit Jay Towers for a mullet. How about that? Let me show you the numbers out there. It's going to get a lot colder, that's for sure, tomorrow into Thursday. We'll check the numbers at 10 o'clock.
Sounds good, Rich. Thanks for joining us for the news at 6. TMZ is next. We'll see you here at the Pulse at 7:30, again at 10, and on the edge at 11.
Hey, what's up? Welcome to another edition of the Sports Office. It is great to have you here. Luderman in the house.
Woo!
You recovered from that Steeler. You don't have a head coach.
That was.
You haven't been able to say that much since like 1969.
I mean, I remember Chuck Noll years. You know, Bill Cowher, of course. Yeah, I mean, the Steelers are a model of
consistency.
That's the word I was thinking of. Yes,
They've consistently lost playoff games since the Obama administration.
7 straight. Yeah, that's part of it. Hey, we got a lot to talk about tonight. Tonight's show brought to you by Chevy Detroit. Together, let's drive. You guys in? Together? Let's drive?
Together.
Visit ChevyDetroit.com. We appreciate them being a part of the show. Let's bring in another guy we appreciate being a part of the show, Tommy. Let's bring in Justin Rogers from Detroit Football Network. J-Raj, what up?
going on,
I
fellas?
don't get to see you every day now, so I feel like I haven't seen you in a while. I see you're working and you still have a lot to do, but it's, when that season ends, I know you're still working, but when the season ends, it's really weird, isn't it? Because you kind of get up and feel like you should be going somewhere.
It is weird, and I was kind of explaining this before the break, right? Like it's like the season is a marathon, and you're trying to pace yourself, and you're trying to stay on top of it, and you think that the Brad Holmes press conference is the finish line, and in reality, like you cross the finish line, and you see that you still have 5 more miles to run on the marathon to kind of really get to that point where it slows down, and then you're rolling right into draft and free agency. So I love when people ask me, what do you do in the off season? It's like cover the Lions. Like my off season is like mid-June to late July. That's it. Everything else, football never stops.
Well, I mean, I think all leagues have kind of gone in this direction, but the NFL has mastered a
No doubt.
12-month news cycle, or at least, as you put it, 11, because maybe when they break in June and come back for training camp, that's the only time it's a downtime. But even then,
I'm
there's the
pretty sure-
anticipation because it's right around the corner.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure ESPN runs and NFL Network run their programming daily throughout the offseason. I at some point I have to unplug and recharge the batteries, so I try to work ahead and get buy myself a couple weeks off there in that summer stretch we were talking about. But yeah, it's going to be go here until we reach that point.
So no playoffs for the Lions. So a lot of us had time to kind of hang out and watch some games this weekend. It feels cliche to say because everybody's saying it, but do we know who the really good teams are, or you just kind of sit back and watch and say somebody's just going to kind of get on a run here?
I don't think there is a truly elite team. I think Seattle's built really well. I think the Rams are built really well. The Texans, maybe not the most explosive offense, but probably the best defense in football. A team I really liked was the Jaguars, and just the trappings of a young new head coach running into more of like the grizzled playoff team. I thought that was maybe the, if you want to call it an upset of the weekend, and really pretty small upset because Buffalo's pretty damn good. But I think we could end up with probably 10, 12 different Super Bowl matchups, and none would be particularly surprising at this point.
Speaking of the Jaguars, Justin, where were you on the final presser for Dan Campbell to make him feel better by telling him, you shouldn't grade yourself an F. You should, you fought hard. Where were you on that?
I let Hammer do that.
Oh, Hammer catching strays. That's what she gets for not being here today.
That's right, yeah.
She could be
I
sitting
love
right there
Hammer.
where you are. We all do. But she could be sitting right where Luderman is, but instead, this is what has to happen. Hey, let me ask you about Chicago, because obviously that was an improbable victory that they came up with over the weekend. So when you watch them, do you say, man, this team is good and they're only going to get better as Caleb Williams grows and improves, and or do you look at him and you say, here's a 58% passer who's going nuts in the fourth quarter, 7 victories in the final 2 minutes. Their takeaways lead the league. Their ratio leads the league. And at some point, that stuff evens out. Or can you say both are true?
I think both are true. I think that's probably the best way to put it. He really reminds me of a poor man's Mahomes in that ability to extend, create, make improbable throws. That fourth down play was pure Mahomes, right? And that's the stuff Caleb was doing in college that made him such a tantalizing prospect. And there are things he's still figuring out, and kind of had to hit a reset button there with that first year of Ben. But I like a lot of things about that Bears team. I just did kind of a cursory glance at the Lions schedule next year and kind of what each of these upcoming opponents, they don't have a whole lot of free agency turnover to worry about. So they're going to have some continuity as they build this thing here. They did have a lot of luck this year, I think, particularly early in the season. But with that, they built some confidence that they were never out of games, that they could come back and win. And you saw that come to fruition down the stretch for them. And really, more than anything, the 2 Packers games, right? The regular season win, which was, I think, far more improbable than even the playoff game. And, this one, they have a belief in themselves. I know that's something Dan Campbell always talks about, and probably rubbed off on Ben in a positive way that like you can kind of manufacture something with positivity when you maybe don't have all the holes filled the way you want them.
Where'd you come down on blank U-gate, blank Green Bay gate?
Oh, I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff, right? Like, I mean, I'll go back to, I know it's a little bit different, but like when Terrell Owens and Chad Ochocinco and all those guys were doing celebrations and, you know, the old people were like, you know, hand it off to the ref, you know, act like you've been there. No, it's a game. It's a game. Have some fun. Your fan base loves that stuff. It ingratiates you to them. I think we know LaFleur's a little bit of a prick or prickly, maybe if we want to edit that out. I don't know. Are we live? We're live, right?
A little late. Don't worry about it. We're streaming.
We're streaming.
But like, you know, and Ben can be a little prickly. And so like, of course that's kind of butting into an intense rivalry. And I think it's good for the game, right? Like I think people love to see those hated rivals face off. I had no rooting interest. I loved watching those Ravens Steelers games over the years, just the intensity of them. Every single time those teams hated each other. And you know, that's okay. I think that's good for sports.
Yeah, and hang on one sec, Rich. Here's the thing. Ben kicked this off at his introductory press conference saying it was fun beating Matt LaFleur twice every year. You know what he did this year? He beat him twice and he knocked him out. So listen, I don't love that, but I do get what you're saying, that Chicago fans do love it. Green Bay fans do react to it. So now you've just taken that thing, and if Ben wants to take this and put it on his back and walk around with it, okay, you have that, Ben, but it's not going anywhere. This thing is now blown up.
Look, Dan Campbell didn't say the words, but what did he do to Dallas last year? Not this season, but the last year, where they just put their foot on their throat from the start, trick plays, running up the score. Like, that is the equivalent of saying, F those guys.
Yeah.
I mean, you're just doing it on the field. Like, it's okay. Like, you have to be comfortable living with the outcome of that, right? It's going to amp them up more every time they face you, and that's just part of it. But look, it worked for Ben this year. It worked for Cignetti in Indiana. You know, it's okay. Like, when it backfires. But like, so many of these jobs, you're out of them in 3, 4, 5 years anyway. So I don't know. You might as well get your guys fully on board and fired up.
Made a mark, no doubt about it.
I got a comparison for you guys, and you can comment. You know, historically, Big Ten, Pac-10, Rose Bowl. So the Big Ten teams always had to go out west and play a Pac-10 team in Pasadena. Well, now it's an LA team coming to Chicago, you know, Pac-10 coming to a Big Ten city in January. It's going to be interesting because it's going to be very cold Sunday, and it'll be interesting to see how LA reacts to the cold.
And I'm also, Justin, interested to see what the situation with Stafford and that finger is. We've seen him with a finger injury before, and it didn't go particularly well.
Oh, man. I mean, we talked about a 3-decade-long streak without a division title. Like, what were they up? 3 games with 4 to go that year? And
fell apart.
They lost them all. Like, they went from 9-4 to 9-7, I think, is how that ended. And they had a chance to win it in the end. I think Rodgers missed time that year. It's just a mess. But I think that finger was broken. I think it required a brace.
Yeah.
It certainly had some weird gloves, if I remember correctly, like biker gloves, you know. But you talk about like maybe a West Coast team not being prepared for the cold weather, but they play such a Big Ten style of football, right? Like with this 13 personnel, the 3 tight ends, the smash mouth running backs who are some of the most efficient in the NFL, a receiver who is a bully in Puka. Like, that's a really, really good football team. Look, I'm not going to dismiss the Bears doing anything at this point. Like, they've already wildly exceeded expectations, but like, give me the Rams in that one.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And that Rams defense is good. I want to see if they're able to corral Caleb at all. Justin, I am fascinated by this Broncos-Bills game because I kind of feel like this might be Josh Allen's moment, if he's going to have a moment, with no Lamar and no Mahomes. And yet, here's this Sean Payton team, so much respect for him and what he's done, and a kind of untested Bo Nix. This to me is going to be great watching.
we talk about maybe Chicago catching a light schedule and having some luck. Denver is that in the AFC. They have a strength of victory, meaning the winning percentages of the games they won, 37.8. Like, they've just beaten up on cupcakes all season long. And again, that you still build belief and confidence in yourself. They've got a very good defense. They've got, certainly pieces on offense. I think they're probably more in that Houston ballpark where they're good, not great on any given week, with the chance to, pop for 35, 40 here and there, but they're more of a 25 point a week game. They're leaning on the defense. I think Buffalo is probably the team I expect to win that game, right? Like that, it's not a great Buffalo team. It's not as complete as it has been in years past. And I think maybe their biggest flaw is they do not have a number one receiver for Josh Allen. Like that's a big deal. And they've leaned so heavily on James Cook, and he's responded by becoming the NFL's leading rusher. I think he had something like 1,700 yards this year. I mean, he's really, really good. Obviously, if you give the ball back to Josh Allen and there's more than 26 seconds left on the clock, like, he's going to lead a game-winning drive. Like, I believe that fully at this point. Every time it felt like Jacksonville was kind of taking control of the game, like, master counterpuncher. Like, that is who he is. It's such a great characteristic to have. I mean, it's like when we watched Stafford lead all those comebacks here in, 2016, like, Josh Allen's that on steroids because of the mobility. Like, it's just, he's so lethal if he's got the ball in his hands the last drive.
Yeah, he is. There's no doubt about it. But to your point, it's going to be interesting to see that receiver position, because not only were they kind of, the depth chart didn't look great. Now with the injuries, it looks even
so
worse.
Banged up.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like they're just trying to find dudes that can go out there and catch the football. Simply put, San Francisco, Seattle, do you trust Seattle's quarterback? Can you go into a game and say, yes, I trust Sam Darnold to win in a big moment?
I mean, look, the track record is against him, but he got such a late strider. It's actually kind of a short track, right?
Yeah.
Like, where did he really take off? It was Minnesota last year. Like, before
maybe just because
that,
the track ran through here last year in Week 18.
Yeah,
that we're kind of biased.
And it was just not only that, it was the playoff game as well, and that was a weird playoff game with the Fires moving it to Arizona and everything. But I thought Darnold has had his ups and downs this year. He, had a lot of interceptions still, but like, I thought, like, I'm giving executive of the year to John Schneider in Seattle. Like, the moves he pulled all the right strings. And I think we looked at it was kind of aggressive reboot with letting Lockett go, dealing Metcalf, letting your quarterback go, or trading him to Vegas, and signing Darnold. Like, it was a very, very aggressive reboot on the offensive side. The defensive side has taken off under McDonald. That makes sense. Defensive guy, good track record, Baltimore background. Like, that makes sense. But like, I think that's the most complete team in the playoffs. And I don't think you need Darnold to do a ton. I don't know if I want him having the ball, but in a final drive, I don't want him playing the Josh Allen hero per se, but they played that 49ers team a couple weeks ago and just kind of pummeled them into submission. Like, it was a beatdown, and that was for the number one seed. So like, the stakes were, I think, similar in that one.
I was going to say the confidence that he got from that win in Week 18 should certainly.
I find it fascinating, because I think it's a chance for him to rewrite what people like me think about him in a big moment, and to go out there in a wide open field. Somebody's going to get hot here over the next couple of weeks, and they're going to end up in the Super Bowl. And it's a team that maybe we didn't assume would at the end of the year. Hey, I know you're following this Lions and the offensive coordinator, and you made the point that they're not announcing people they're talking to, so there may be people we don't even know about. What's your take on what you've seen so far?
They're hitting some names that I really like. I actually somehow talked myself into David Blau before that evaporated. I don't know how I did, but I did.
Meteoric rise that David Blau has had.
There was a lot of crazy overlap with Ben Johnson that I was buying, and I know what David Blau meant to Jared Goff behind the scenes. I thought there was something there, even though that inherently carried more risk because of his lack of play calling. Obviously, look, Mike McDaniel would be a home run. They're going to have to wait a while to figure that out. There are 9 head coaching openings, which is 28% of the league. There's a very decent chance that McDaniel gets offered one of those, and he should wait out to see if he gets that level of opportunity. If he doesn't, clearly home run hire, creative, positive, obviously knows how to use speed and space weapons. The personnel was similar in a lot of ways, down to the quarterback position, to the receivers, to the running back in Miami. And I've been saying this for a while. I really like Mike Kafka out of New York. Look, he was with Andy Reid for 7 seasons, 2 as a player, 5 as an assistant coach, where he climbed from a low-level offensive assistant up to quarterback coach, coinciding with Patrick Mahomes' insertion into the starting lineup, became a passing coordinator. All 7 of those seasons, Andy Reid had a top 10 offense. It was like 7 of his 14 top 10 offenses of his coaching career. So what I really like about Kafka is he runs a West Coast system. Ben's system was heavily rooted in West Coast vibes. And I had questions about, a Reid-based coach and how they embrace the running game. That's obviously very important here. I think Kafka showed that he can bend to kind of the vision of his coach and Dable. They were a very run-heavy team. Their 2 best years there, his first year there in 2022, and then obviously this year they were, I think, top 5 in rushing in attempts and yards for a team that was kind of garbage. And then he had essentially the audition tape here, right?
Yeah, that was
like
great tape.
39 carries, right? They bludgeoned the Lions with the ground game, so 39 carries. They threw deep shots. They rolled out trick plays. They went for it on 4th down. Like, it's like, this is my tape, Dan Campbell. Love it or leave it. And like, I feel like it probably helped earn him this opportunity. And I think of the 4 that are still on the table that we know about, I think either one of those 2 would be a really good hire for the Lions.
Good stuff. This is the kind of expertise you can get on the Detroit Football Network. Justin, appreciate you, man. Thank you. Always enjoy chopping it up.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Job.
Thanks.
Outstanding.
Justin Rogers joining us right there. Good stuff, man. Detroit Football Network. Check them out. You can get that covering the Lions all year. And as he said, it's really an all-year thing now. We're going to take a break. Come right back. We'll check in on some of your Zooms. You can join us. Hit that link. And we'll come back and chop it up a little bit more right
All right.
here. Yeah, there you go. All right, question of the night. You're Mike Tomlin. You're a free agent. You will have TV networks throwing millions of dollars at you. You've already got millions of dollars. Or you can get right back into the grind of coaching an NFL team. What do you do?
I would take the millions to be a TV analyst. I mean, that grunt.
I mean, you think Bill Cowher's not talking to him about that, saying, listen, dude, been where you are.
19
And
years.
Always thought Cowher was coming back. You know, for years, we thought he was coming back and teams would talk to him, and he never came back.
Billick, too. Like, that was another one.
Yeah, Billick to some degree. I mean, I don't know if he had the allure of
No,
Cowher,
right.
because he's kind of an abrasive dude. Really. I won't go as far as to use Justin's word, but
Prickly.
yeah, prickly. There you go. But I got to think, and Fox is losing Bradshaw right after this year, aren't they? Or is that next year?
I don't know,
Soon.
but soon, yeah.
I mean, he would fit right in there.
He's going to be sitting behind a microphone, just like I'm doing right now.
I think, and I think he'll be terrific.
Yeah.
But so many options, so many opportunities out
9
there.
jobs out there
if
right now?
he sees something that he likes and someone offers him double, a lot of money,
It's possible.
he's young enough, so
He's 53.
yeah.
Is that
Wow.
crazy? He's 53 with 19 years of head coaching experience behind him.
Super
Never
Bowl.
had a losing season. Now, obviously won a Super Bowl, but the kind of fly in the ointment is what you touched on. 7 straight playoff losses. That's the downside. But there's a lot of teams, as you
That
talk to
could get
all
to the
these
playoffs all those years without Roethlisberger once he was gone.
If you talk to all these coordinators, now look, Ben Johnson's doing great, obviously, but if you talk to these coordinators with no track record, Liam Cohen did great. No track record versus a head coach who's got a long track record is something to think about. I mean, it definitely is. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come right back. Much more coming up after this. We're going to come back and close it out. We have the Wings in action tonight. Michigan State in action tonight. All that coming up on Fox 2 News at 10.
See,
We'll
I'm
talk
doing
about
the
that
show
on the
and
other
watching
side.
them both.
You're doing great. So we have the Saturday night game on Fox.
Correct.
Right, which is 49ers Seattle. which I think, I can find a reason to look at all these games. Can the Texans defense carry them against the Patriots? Rams, Bears, you got Stafford and Ben. I mean, that's enough right there. And then Bills, Broncos, like I said, Josh Allen, to me, man, it's the one thing, it's big, but it's missing on his resume.
This has been such a great playoff so far after one weekend. The
With one
games were
exception.
great. I mean, sorry. But the games were
Well, I was
great.
talking about the Lions not being in it, but go ahead.
Oh, yeah, that too. Yeah, man. But I thought we got over that. But anyway, the games were great, but the matchups, there's no favorite. There's no team that's, this is the team's going to cruise to a
You can find a reason to believe in
championship.
anything.
Right. And I love that. I love going into each of these games just not knowing who's
Buffalo, Chicago, Super Bowl. That's it.
Yeah, we'll pass on that. we don't really need anybody from the NFC North jumping in there right now.
Okay.
Hey, they've had a nice run. Yeah.
Yeah, Dan has to do the first and
That
the
is,
show
but
for a long time.
it is interesting this week. Is it Stafford you're rooting for, or is it Ben you're rooting for this week? Got a feeling a lot of people are going to be rooting for Stafford.
I think so. The Ben's still fresh.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I've said this before. I underestimated how angry people would be at him staying in the division. Completely underestimated that. I thought, hey, he just went for the best gig that he could find. Yeah. People did not want to hear that. They're not happy. But listen, Ben doesn't mind wearing those things on his back, as we talked about. All right, that's going to do it for us. Thanks for making us a part of your evening. We'll be back tomorrow night. Hey, my friend Bill Rosinski is going to join us tomorrow night, one of the voices of the NFL from Compass Sports. Ooh. Also, PGA Tour for SiriusXM. We'll talk to him about the Brooks Koepka thing in these NFL playoffs as well, so we look forward to that. Oh, bye.